So, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good night, wherever you are in the world and whatever time of day it is for you. My name, as always, is Aneesh de Vos, and we have the most. You're drumming yourself in there. Drumming himself on in. The most ponderful, still glamorous, gorgeous, the man that is the only David Buckler.
Well, the few eye rolls in there.
I'm on it today.
Hello, everyone. Hello, and welcome.
So, David.
You said bringing it down a bit. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. From my rather preposterous introductions.
It's lovely to see you so bubbly in the face of this.
Exactly. Because it was 195 days ago. I Googled it. On the 9th of April, that we first released a recording that was, I'm trying to be how it was, but it ain't the same. And they were your words. And yes, we released this, didn't we? For community connections, for everybody out there to really start having a platform that they can listen to that wasn't full of pomposity or cure or the next best thing. Wasn't full of academic jargon. It was just people talking about stuff that actually affects us under a trauma umbrella, none less than Covid-19. So David, my question to you today is, we've done it before as we come into this second wave, as we are in this second wave. We've done it before. We know it ain't the same, okay? But what is it that we know now that can support us, anybody else watching it, anybody that wants to share it, please do, as we come into this next wave? And I defer to you on this. What is it? What do we know now?
Well, from what I've read, and you can get drowned in scientific papers, reading between the lines, and obviously we form our own opinions. I think we have more of a handle on it. I mean, I think that's evident in a clinical situation, or the situations we find ourselves in with hospitals, etc., diagnosis and treatment. And I've been keeping up with treatments, and there seem to be quite a few options which we didn't have because it was relatively unknown. And I almost said it came out of the blue, but the more I read, the more I'm aware that there are probably quite a few more signals out there than we're led to believe at the onset.
Right.
And I think there's the same uncertainty, there's the same anxiousness, and I just think there's also a lack of patience, as there was before, and patience in the terms of we've had enough of this. We really have. So there's a little bit more of a desperation about it, I think.
Okay. Do you think that to work with that sense of desperation and that sense of impatience, and I can relate to that, do you think that perhaps what we could do, and not bringing any bloody unicorns flying down the street, but what we could do is think, okay, recognize that sense of a trapped feeling, almost like, when is this going to be over? But in terms of, so how did I personally manage this before? How did we as a family manage this before? How did we as a community manage this before? I'm not going to go into politics today, David. Because literally, I don't think either of us got the fury or space to do it. But how do we, as, so it goes back from self to then family to then community, and actually looking at how other communities across the world are doing it as well, because we've got this massive world wide web now, you know. Information and speech and connection is more available than it's ever been before in terms of how fast that information and connection can happen. But can part of us think that, not if we push away that sense of frustration, if we push away that sense of desperation, then it will bang louder at us. But if we open it and say, do you know what, I see that you're here with me, and I genuinely do this, folks. This isn't me just talking unicorn stuff. I genuinely am like this with myself. Sometimes I do it, as we know, with a Billy Connolly voice, but which we won't do today. Sounds better in my head. But how can we, can we genuinely say, do you know what? I am feeling really impatient with this. I've got this sense of desperation that it's not going to end. And acknowledge that and invite that into the breakfast table. You know, pick up, have a glass of orange juice or a cup of tea with it. Hear that part of you in a really compassionate sense, with this sense of yourself that's this compassionate other to how you're feeling about that. But equally, say to yourself, and what did you do before? When you thought, oh my goodness me, this is just horrible, I'm stuck indoors, or I can't go to X, Y, and Z, I can't go to see a relative, I can't go to see my friends, all of those things that I do to nurture me. What was it that you did before? Because we did do something, because we were locked in for a fair few weeks. So David, can I ask you, what was it that you did before? What was it that you did before that you know worked for you? And I'm not negating what you've just said, because absolutely, totally get it. I'm just suggesting that we acknowledge it with that compassionate side of ourselves, and yet guide it with us and say, however, this is what we did before. So what was it you did?
What I did, it all comes down to a level, I think, of acceptance, which is an easy throwaway word, but when you consider that, if there's nothing you can do that's out of your control, and again, this sounds very trite, you have to come to a point where you accept that that is the case. You can only control what is within your grasp to control.
Yeah.
And that would be your immediate environment.
Yeah.
You can make it as pleasant or as unpleasant as you care to at any one time.
Yeah.
Although I'm only too well aware that some people operate under limited resources financially.
Absolutely, and domestic violence.
Yeah,
when we lock people in.
Wholly exacerbated because there is no escape, and I mean no escape, or it would appear to be that way.
Yeah, because it will compound that, won't it? That feeling. Yeah. I mean, there are organisations out there that, I know we had, the lovely Bryony Harper on before. There are organisations out there that can support you. So please remember that you can be supported, but that sense of locked in that you experience with domestic violence is then compounded by being told to be locked in, and is then compounded by the feeling of the person that is perpetrating acts of domestic abuse against you. So it's a double whammy. So yeah, we mustn't forget that.
Yeah, and my train of thought is the overriding theme here is a loss of connection, and loss of connection is all encompassing when it comes to emotional well-being, trying to steer away from good or poor mental health again, but it is about that wellness that you can develop if you think of the things that are important to you, if you think of the things that you enjoy, and it could be anything.
Yeah.
and do it as often as you possibly can. And again, it may sound that I'm oversimplifying things, but when you think about it, it's the only way you can control your environment, control the way you feel. And coming back to me, because you did ask what I was doing, is I guess I'm fortunate that I can work from home, and I do have the facilities to do that.
Yeah.
We're talking on the internet. I don't think we've met now for what?
Not since February.
No, February.
And David's one of my closest friends. I love him to bits.
And it sounds ridiculous. I know the geography of it is not an issue, because, you know, you're a couple of hours away, maybe a little bit more.
Yeah.
And I guess that impacts me. And it reduces what you can do to keep yourself emotionally on top of things. Yeah. So I could chuck in all sorts of things out. From where I'll go back to where I started a minute ago, and say that, you know, I'm very busy, and that makes a difference.
Yeah,
I'm extremely busy. When it's not working with clients, it's trying to be supportive in other ways. I found myself recently increasing my time on social media.
Is that safe for you, David? Because you do get a bit pissy about social media. I'm not sure about your emotional health and social media.
Yeah. Again, I'm fortunate in that our backgrounds are full of dealing with our stuff, and I'm well aware that lots of people haven't dealt with a lot of stuff, and being enclosed and being trapped, if you like, it's going to bring all that stuff up.
Yeah.
And it doesn't take much, in my experience, to trigger anything and everything.
Yeah. And I think that's then really important. I know when the first lockdown came along, somebody came around streets where I live and literally posted through a little piece of paper that said, I'm setting up a community group for COVID for support. I mean, it must have taken them ages. I mean, what a beautiful thing to do. And still in that community group, and, you know, I've noticed that there are a few more comments coming in now. So, you know, if you are in groups like that, you know, go back into those groups. They're not forgotten. Do you know what I mean? It's go back into that space where you can reach out, where you can say, do you know what, I'm not very well, can you nip down to the chemist and get this for me? Because even though, you know, like I just said, I genuinely miss David's hugs. They are particularly yummy hugs. But you know, actually, the thought of somebody doing something for you, I'm going to go back to my chemical stuff again. You basically want an oxytocin rush. You really, really do. When you get the hug, you get the oxytocin, you know, the good old love hormone. You know, it gets us into this world. It brings us out of this world. It is a really, really good rush, the old oxytocin, okay? As in, it brings us out through birth. We need lots of oxytocin through birth. And indeed, you know, when we die, those around us are loving us. So yeah, it does actually. Yeah, not too much of a slip of the tongue. I digress. I'll come back. So the thought of somebody doing something for us, I don't know about you, it does give me a really big oxytocin rush because I feel cared for. And isn't that what we need? We are mammals. We need codependency. Sorry, all of those that talk codependency being bad. We need codependency to survive. We need to be codependent. Of course, if it disappears and changes because of circumstances, and that's a different thing. But we really need that codependency on each other, and we need it now more than ever.
and I think if you take an overview again from where we were, I mean, there was a surge of love and support for essential services.
Definitely.
And that's still there.
Yeah.
And I wonder how long they can keep going. And we're not going to go political, but where is their support? Because we feed off their resilience, I think, or we did right at the beginning. If they can do it, all we have to do is stay at home and lock ourselves in and try not to contact other people. We weren't going out at all apart from the shops, but masks weren't a thing then.
No.
We could go to a supermarket when the initial craziness had died down. I think we know now that no matter how much we empty supermarket shelves, they'll be replenished eventually, and I think that's changed. Because that's what happened. So we might.
And there's going to be pasta.
Yeah, we went without toilet rolls and pasta for a while, but that really didn't change things very much, apart from get us really angry. So I think there is some acceptance, along with a lot of anger around why isn't someone doing something more than they are doing. So
because no, sorry.
No, and you will know all too well that resentment and anger is the other side of sadness.
Totally.
And when you're down, it's quite a usual thing to do, to focus some anger somewhere to counterbalance that emotion.
Yeah, it's a normal response. I love it when people, I won't go into diagnosis, but when, it's that kind of, this concept of this abnormal response. It's not an abnormal response.
It's a human response.
You're designed to do that.
Yeah.
It's a physiological response.
That mechanism protects us.
Totally. Totally. It's a protective response. So again, if you're really pissed off and you're feeling really angry, again, don't start doing I've got to be really good about this. You know what? Acknowledge and accept that anger's come in, because once we start suppressing, that is damaging. I'm not saying go out and, smack the man down the street. Please don't do that. But acknowledge that anger. Acknowledge that you feel angry about that. It's okay.
Yeah, you can still walk it off if you're careful.
Absolutely. That's why I walk early in the morning. Yeah. Squirrels don't mind me swearing at them.
Yeah.
And Morris joins in.
And we're talking about Boris the dog here.
Yes, Morris the dog.
Not Boris, Morris.
Yeah, I said it in a park the other day. I said Morris, and they said, oh, shouldn't have a dog called that in this day and age. I said, actually, it's Morris, it's an M. Sorry if you misheard. I thought I was going to be in a bit of a fracas.
Yeah, coming back to speaking to people on walks, I've noticed people acknowledging you. I mean, this is usually quite a friendly town anyway, for the most part. And it's, I don't know about you, but I say hello very easily and acknowledge people or nod and smile very easily.
Yeah.
I've noticed more of that coming back. If I don't get that back, then I'm not broken-hearted, because that person might have a lot on their mind. But yeah, I have noticed, I guess, more of we're all in the same boat. I'm going to give you a smile. It might go a long way.
It might go a long way. And you know what, David? As ever, you always say, that's why you are profound. You always say something lovely, a smile, it might go a long way. So I'm going to ask you then, on that note, talk us out. And I'm still missing the hugs.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad you enjoy mine. I don't think, you've ever said that before.
I'm just telling the
I
world.
should carry that on through the day and look
I thought
forward
you
to when we
felt it
can
in the
meet up.
oxytocin. I thought you
Yeah,
felt it, David.
yeah,
Sometimes things don't need to be versed.
yeah. I'm going to say the obvious, in that take care of yourselves. And it's something we don't do. It's within families too. If you are sad, get it out there. You know, talk it through. Try and communicate what's going wrong. Why you feel the way you feel. And then your own care spreads. The more you take care of yourself, the more you can pass it on. And I'm going to leave it there. It's a pleasure to see you again. And I look forward to meeting up soon. But in the meantime, we'll do what we can on social media and the internet, shall we?
And send a virtual hug. Anybody see David in the street, just asking for a hug? Literally, this guy's got it. Shall I close?
Yes, I think so. Take care, everyone, and stay well and stay healthy, and
stay safe.
Yeah, we'll get there. I'm sure we will.
Wow.